All right. Hello, fantasy listeners. This is our sixth episode, and I'm pretty excited that we're switching it up today. Doing a little different, putting our host in the hot seat, Mr. Tyler Popham. So, tonight, again, we'll have Tyler and his team presented, and joining me, I got the Primo Carino Jeremy, and we got a surprise guest. We don't have his picture up there, but Johnny Dominic. How are you guys doing tonight?
So what's up?
I'm doing great. I'm
I'm
excited.
excited for this. I've been
Pretty
looking forward
good,
to it.
pretty good.
I'm excited Johnny's here. I didn't have time to throw his picture up into the thing here, but
It was about
I'm glad
five
he's here.
minutes ago. You asked me, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
There we go. Get you in here. Get some good comment. All right. So, Tyler, before we even get started, as we all know, you are the commissioner of the league. And you and I had talked about making this league to basically what it is today, get the right crew, the right pieces in place. What would you say was the reason for creating this league and what makes it unique? What are some of the things that we decided to do compared to other dynasty leagues that are just a little bit different, maybe a little more spicy?
Yeah, I think first I would say that I'm proudly the co-commissioner of the league. This is a dual effort, I would say, between myself and Anthony. And any credit or criticism that I think the league gets, I would love to share that with the co-commissioner Anthony. So thank you to him for starting this journey with me. I think it's awesome that he's super engaged in this, and a lot of the stuff wouldn't be possible without some little extra effort on his part as well. So first of all, thank you to you for that. I think the inspiration for the league really was the last, I would say, maybe 3-4 years. I'll back up even further. Like I've been playing fantasy sports, whether it was baseball or basketball or whatever for a really long time. I think since like middle school. And I would say over the last like 4 or 5 years, I think it's kind of elevated a little bit more because it's a little bit more fun to get into it. This is kind of one of those like few extra curricular activities you can take some focus on like outside of work and stuff. So I've started to get a little bit more serious with it, and so that's kind of where I think the inspiration for the Big Boys League came from, in the sense of we call it the Big Boys League because this is like the serious league, right? It's not a ton of money. It's only $100. Plus like $5 like extra into the Empire pot or whatever. So it's not a ton, but it's also not insignificant at the same time. If you get first, right, that's $800 plus a little bit more and that. And so the stakes are a little bit higher. That's more fun. And I think above all of that, even just the money, it's just the level of competition and the level of strategy that you're able to do with the Dynasty League. The strategic decisions, because you keep your players for forever, are really interesting to me. I think the just you're really building a team. There's not all these restrictions, and the slate isn't always wiped clean from season to season like with most of the leagues. So I think really the challenge is what inspired me to try to start it. And then once we're thinking like, okay, if you're making a hardcore league, basically, like it's really important that you have a committed group of 12 managers that are going to be committed and do it the right way, and hopefully not get replaced every single year because one of them decides to not take it seriously and all that good stuff there. So really that's what it was all about. It was like, okay, who's a great group of 12 that we can put this together with. And that's one of the other things I'm most excited about this league is from top to bottom, I feel like every single person is active, they're committed, they're a great competitor in the league. And so that's what's made it so fun. And then we get to do all these extra bits of content and just have extra fun with it. And so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, just talking about this league, and I know talking with some others that we actually have a little bit of a wait list going. We got some
We
people
do. I
that
was
are
Wait,
lining
just
up.
oh
say.
my God, a wait list?
Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
do. Brian just joined it just recently, my
Oh
friend.
God, Brian.
It's
Man.
not even just Brian. We got Brandon's cousin who also wants to join as well.
All right. How long
So
is this? Is this wait? When we say wait list, I mean like we're more than Brandon's cousin and Brian, right? Like we got like more than two people. Just
psh,
you.
yeah,
That's
a
a
third
lot.
unknown that I don't know about yet, but I'm sure there's one that's out
That's
there.
good.
A
That's
wait
good.
list is
Gosh,
a
we.
wait
Well,
list.
and I
Exactly.
mean, and
That's true.
Tyler, I think you said it right. And we've been talking about this for a while because I remember you have another league where you kind of do keepers, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the step below dynasty. But
Mm-hmm.
I think this was always something we had talked about, and we were like, oh, it'd be so cool to do a dynasty. And it's so cool you brought it together and been able to bring over like podcasts and get everyone together and kind of, we have 2 trophies, one that I hate to look at and one I had to go to Anthony's house and look at, but whatever. But I think it's really cool that the
And,
fact it is, and we have people that
mhm.
want to join. Like, it's people want to join this league.
And I'm most excited about as well. We're entering the second year of it, so it's very much early on. But I feel the difference in the Dynasty League this year compared to last year, where
Absolutely.
it was the startup, right? Everyone drafted their teams basically from scratch. But now this year, we're getting into the rookie draft. We're dealing with all of the draft picks and everything strategically that means. And so it's just kind of like a higher
Mm,
level of thinking. To be honest, like I'm barely thinking about the other leagues that I'm in right now because I really don't have to think about them until basically like right before the draft. But I'm doing more research and stuff for this particular league. I feel like it's kind of covering me for all of my other leagues, and so it's just a lot of
yeah.
fun. And I appreciate like the intensity and the competition. And again, most of all, it's fun, and so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think, the last thing is the active participation. Like, I know you and I had discussed that, is like, how do people get more active and keep the attention and want to be a part of the league? I think, when we added the taxi squad and additional spots, like that's going to force people. They can't just go and pick someone off and like hope for that lottery ticket. They're going to kind of be forced to engage with other
Develop.
managers and make
Hmm.
trades. Exactly.
Hmm.
So I know I myself am excited about that and the activity that's going on in the league.
And I think to answer one of your earlier questions, which I just realized I didn't answer at all, some of the unique things about this particular league, of course, it's a dynasty league, so you're basically able to keep any player that you want to keep within the roster size limits. Some of the extra settings that we have are we have a 4-person taxi squad, so anyone within their first 2 years can be put on that taxi squad. That kind of allows you to sort of develop a player that might potentially be sitting on the bench. Someone like on my team, for example, like Jordan Love, right? He's sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. He probably won't be relevant for a handful of years. He might be relevant later. So Jordan Love is a great example for that. Um, so that kind of whittles down the available player pool even more so because you're dealing with those development players. We do have a tight end premium, so that's an interesting thing that kind of levels the playing field for tight ends. And then we also have a full point PPR, which is an interesting decision. Sometimes you go either none or all the way or somewhere in the middle. We've decided to go not only full point, but we also have 3 wide receivers instead of 2. And I know many leagues go with 2. So that also kind of swings things for wide receivers. So it's really, really interesting and dynamic
Well,
because
Superflex
and
also.
Superflex, yeah. So we've got the
Mhm.
quarterbacks are extremely valuable, the wide receivers are extremely valuable, the tight ends are valuable because of that tight end premium. The bench is crazy, crazy deep. We've got the taxi squad, so there's a lot going on strategically. Um, but I think that I feel like the balance is really, really good. I don't know if I would change anything just yet. Again, we're only in season 2, and we might, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. And we've got flexibility, but I like where it is right now. It feels good to me.
And I've read a lot about dynasty leagues and kind of like how dynasty leagues evolve. And one of the things that they do is say that draft picks become more and more valuable. And we can tell from the beginning of the year, draft picks were just being thrown around all the
Hmm.
time. And then we got closer to this draft. Granted, it is a very strong draft. And now draft picks are being valued so high. And as long as that will keep going, I think you'll see that the strength of the league will continue to develop as far as that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think people are getting more of an idea of what those mean and how to value them going forward. I
Mhm.
think some of the things I do like about ours is that, going into the playoffs, it's not about your record. It's not about, getting lucky or unlucky so much. And it's more about who gets, more points. So then it gives that person a chance to really compete. And the Empire Pot, that was kind of your thing. That's your baby, Tyler. Tell us about the Empire Pot.
True.
Yeah, so the Empire Pot was something that I think I heard from a different podcast or a different, inspiration source just based off of like, you're starting a Dynasty League, what are the settings and what are the things to do to make it fun and that. And so the Empire Pot is essentially an extra $5 that goes into every single buy-in. So our regular buy-in's 100, then everybody chips in an extra 5, and then that extra money basically sits on the sidelines until somebody wins either 2 championships in a row, or I think 3 total, however long that takes. And so it could take as little as 2 years, right, if someone wins 2 in a row, or if they eventually win, 3, that could take who knows how long that could take, 10 years or 15 years or something shorter. But all of those, I guess it's going to be an additional right now. $60 per year, right? That's just going to carry over year to year. And yeah, whenever someone hits it, that they cash in, and
Awesome.
then it resets. And so that's just a lot. It's just another piece
cool.
that's a little bit fun.
Yeah, and I just think the last piece is just the balancing of having that lottery draft and lottery pick. But we did a lot about the how we're doing in the dynasty, how it formed. Let's go into your draft. Let's kick it off with the draft picks. Tell us a little bit about what you intended. What was your mindset going into it? Did you have a preset game plan, and did it go as you hoped?
Yeah, so I
We
did.
know what Tyler's game plan was.
Oh, I would say the overarching
Wide
theme of
receiver.
my
Look
game
at all
plan.
of this blue.
I just
All of this. Explain yourself, sir. Look at all of this blue.
I just love
I
wide
didn't
receivers. I just
1,
can't help
2,
myself.
3.
I love that
Tyler's
it's
got the
right in the
biggest-
middle. I love that
It's
it's
a
right in
blue
the middle.
streak. It's a blue streak.
That's what it is.
8 wide receivers.
Then-
That's Tyler's blue train.
Thin blue line, my friends. Stand with the blue.
I'll give you it. Justin Jefferson is right in the middle of that 8.
He's a great pick.
So I'll give you
He's a
that.
great-
Yeah.
When I look
But
at that, he's
please
he's
explain
like the most
yourself.
valuable player on my team, and he's all the way down there in the 9th round. So that's fantastic. Okay, but backing up, my general strategy was, I think, I really wanted, because it's a dynasty league. Of course, I think it goes without saying. I think it should go without saying, but I definitely looking at other people's draft strategies and whatnot. I felt like youth was extremely important because I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to win just like one or have like a reasonable shot to be competitive in one particular season. Like I want to be like a good team for a really, really long time. And so with that as my goal, I felt like youth was extremely important. That's why my first overall pick was Kyler Murray. I think at that time, and I know we've had conversations about this previously, I thought about that pick for probably a good like 2 months at least. I saw a couple different mock drafts and for dynasty startups and whatnot, and I saw Kyler anywhere from about 1.7 to maybe like the beginning of the 2nd round. But I was thinking this is a super flex league. At the time he was entering, I think it was his 2nd year, right? Because he's going into his 3rd year now.
Second
Yeah.
year.
Like he's that mobile running quarterback, the ones that score a lot of points, and he was super, super young on what I thought was going to be like a really dynamic offense. And so there were players that I think probably would have been more valuable in a 1-year time frame. Someone I'm looking at, I'm like Dalvin Cook or even Kamara obviously is a really, really good example. But I'm like, I'm going to have Kyler Murray for probably at least, unless I trade him, 10 to 15 years perhaps. And he's going to probably play a little bit differently as he gets a little bit older. But that's just the decision that I went with. And, kind of building off of that, you see basically a lot of youth on the rest of my roster. I did get Dak in the 2nd round because I thought that it was really, really important to get a second quarterback being a super flex league. But that after that, it's pretty much almost all youth.
There's 12 wide receivers. Tyler.
Well, there's 12 wide receivers, but then also there's just, every single one. Okay, Jonathan Taylor, rookie. DeAndre Swift, rookie. Cortland Sutton, I believe it was his 2nd year last year.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Chark, I don't think he was a rookie, but he was, super
Junior.
young. Jerry Jeudy, rookie. Jalen Reagor, rookie. Justin Jefferson, rookie. Christian Kirk, just young player. T. Higgins, rookie. Michael Pittman Jr., rookie. Right. So I just went a lot of youth. Later I got Jordan Love. So that was really basically just my strategy was like, where is the best player available, and if that best player available isn't that much better than someone that I could get that was going to be younger. I really basically always went with the younger pick there, and it ended up getting me 8 wide receivers in a row. That wasn't necessarily intentional, but that's just what happened.
You know what it looks like, Tyler, is when you stop drafting wide receivers, you realize more than halfway through their draft, you're like, oh shit, this isn't
that
a
oh
rookie
shit
draft.
moment.
This isn't a rookie draft. That's next year.
There's other players. Oh no.
Oh my gosh, I had the
You
rookie
kinda-
filter on
tight
the
end.
whole time.
That's what it
It
was.
is kind of
Rookie filter was on. I mean,
Oh
to be
my
honest, it was really honestly, I would look at the player like, I'm just totally going to make this up, right? I look at Jerry Jeudy, and I would imagine there's probably maybe 10 players I'd be looking at in that spot. And just based off of how long they were going to be in the league and how much I really needed that particular player at the moment, like I just went with the rookie like pretty much every single time because I'm thinking like, okay, maybe Aaron Rodgers is a extreme example of like how I would be taking this the wrong way, but like if I'm just so on like this additional quarterback, like Aaron Rodgers is only going to be in the league another 3-4 years, maybe 5. This next player, he's probably going to be pretty good, could be a lottery ticket for 10 years. So I'd say maybe
Is there
for
is there
better or
any
for worse, but that's just what I went with, and I got last place, so don't hold me up as a gold standard, but I still am okay with it because I feel better about this upcoming year and especially the years after that, and it is what it is.
I will say it's a bold move. Like it's a great strategy. Like you're literally sacrificing. You're giving up $100 this year, and you know it. You know it going into it. Maybe the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see.
Couple
We'll see how
years,
it
yeah.
comes. Like, but you're the only one to really target only rookies. Was there
Mhm.
any rookies that possibly you wanted or tried to get and got sniped, or did you kind of get everyone you wanted to?
That's a good question because I definitely feel like I dominated kind of the rookie lane, like going in that lane. I got most of the people that I wanted. Uh, I know we've talked about it in other pods, but Tua was a player that I really wanted, probably for super bias reasons because he's the Dolphins quarterback. I'm a huge Dolphins
You
fan.
secretly texted me not to draft him.
Did I? I don't even remember doing that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I remember that.
whatever tricks and things I could pull to try to get Tua on my team I was going to do and continue to do until it happens. But he would probably be an example there. Gosh, other rookies that I really wanted. To be honest, I
Calvin.
feel like I got just about all. Calvin who? What are we talking
Calvin
about?
Ridley.
Calvin, no, he wasn't a rookie. I kind of really liked the idea of Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Justin Herbert. I'm surprised.
Justin Herbert. Okay, that's a good example.
Oh,
I'm
you're
thinking
right.
in the moment
Yeah.
here. He was a good one too, and that's a tough one because I feel like I went 2 quarterbacks super early, right? Those were kind of going to be the cornerstones of what I was trying to put together. And I also feel like Justin Herbert went sneaky. Where was he? I'm trying to find him here. I felt like he went
10-4.
10-4. That's an
Yeah.
incredible pick by Chris, and I love it there. It was just about the only wise thing Chris did in the entire draft.
Shots fired.
I mean, I would have loved to have gotten Herbert. Yeah, that's probably a miss. I'd love to have traded Jalen Reagor that I got in the 8th round for Herbert, but
You can't.
but you
decide
live and
that.
you live
I
and you
mean,
learn. And also Herbert, I think no one thought he was going to be as good as he was, and
Well,
so that happens.
and I actually see your value in going wide receivers because wide receiver is populates the most of your roster, and going 3 wide receivers, very strong wide receivers, especially young ones, that would be a huge chunk of your roster that's actually filled for most of the years.
Mhm.
So, like I mean, a lot of them are very good.
The
Very
funny
good
thing is
picks.
the
Like
ones that ended up being the most valuable by far are Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins, and those were the ones that I picked furthest down. I traded
9-7
Sutton.
and 11-7. Yeah,
I traded
that's hilarious.
Sutton, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But then these ones ahead were basically kind of disappointments, and I still think they've got some value there. But I just think it's funny that Jefferson ended up being an absolute superstar, and Higgins is supposed to be really good moving forward too. So I'm excited about it. If there were other players I could have got there, but that's the direction that I went.
All right, all right. Any other comments on the draft?
I think it was interesting that after the draft, I don't know what reporting system or online thing or whatever, I think Anthony ran some sort of report, and it looked at my team and basically predicted I would get last place based off of the draft, and so I appreciated that.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I
okay.
did get last place, and so I
didn't see that
have to
coming.
say spot on whatever those prediction things are. However, again, I will defend that I had a long-term focus, and that if I was going to I didn't necessarily expect to win that very, very first year. If I did, you guys would be screwed for like a decade because all of my players are like 22 years old or younger or something. So I was just going to see what happened in that first season, but really I'm playing for the long term. I don't want to win just one. I want to win like 3, 4, or 5 or something over the next 10 years. And so that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, your draft rankings, you're absolutely right. It ranked you last. But there's another filter with the dynasty rankings, and you were actually placed 4th with a score of 89. Your strength was QB wide receiver, as we kind of see. I would hope wide receiver was a strength. RB not too bad, tight end too bad, kicker, ooh, you got to work, and then just your flex. But other than that, yeah, number 4 in power rankings for the dynasty part. So
And
not
I think
bad
what's
for the
interesting
future.
about like a report like that is how does it balance necessarily like your current scoring value at the time? Because of how young my players were. I was probably not going to be in that upper echelon of like what it was possible to score last season or potentially even this upcoming season. But where am I going to be in 2022 or 2023? I would imagine it'd be looking real strong. And so, I take some of those reports with a little bit of a grain of salt because I understand the context in them. And it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm optimistic.
You kind
I
of
love
have
it.
to because yeah, I mean, look at what happened in my season. My run CMC, I lost one of my top scorers,
Mm.
gone. How is something that's gonna project me to be higher than I'm supposed to be at that point?
And an injury can
You never
happen to
know.
anybody. You know what I mean? An injury can happen to
Yeah, yeah.
anybody. One of my favorite things, or least favorite things, just most notable things that happened to me in fantasy, one time was Clint Barnes. I'm sure probably none of you know who he is. He was a prospect for the Colorado Rockies. He played second base, and this was like in high school. I was dialed in on fantasy baseball. I had picked up Clint Barnes when he was in like AAA before anybody even knew who he was. And the Rockies called him up, and he had basically like a rookie of the year type season for like 3 or 4 months, and then literally randomly he fell down the stairs in his apartment building like carrying groceries and was out the rest of the season. And I was like, oh my. So you never know what can happen with any of these players, and
Yeah.
whether it's Run CMC or Clint Barnes, you just hope for the best. And football, of
You
course,
know
is a
what,
super
Tyler?
violent
You
game.
drafted 8 wide receivers and one of them hit.
There you
No,
go.
Antonio Brown hit. He also got a first round pick for Antonio Brown. That's a
Uh,
hit too.
My last
2 out of 12. 2 out of 12.
Hey, who else?
uh,
Who else got a first round pick with their 25th rounder? I'm
Oh, I
just
hate
throwing
you.
that out there.
Oh
Damn.
God.
Tyler did.
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's get over baseball. Let's go and look into your transactions. So, looking at your transactions, you were one of the most active managers. You had 41 transactions throughout the season. And of those 41, you had 28 free agent transactions. Looking at your free agents, is there anything in particular that you're particularly proud of that you picked up, or someone that you regret dropping?
Yeah, that's a good one. I definitely had a lot of moves here. Looking at this, I think early on I went with I'm just going to hit the notable ones and not every single one of them. This Devine Zigbo, that was when Jacksonville lost, I think it was Leonard Fournette at the time. They were releasing him, or I
Super Bowl
can't,
Lenny.
whatever it
Yep.
was, that opportunity was open, and there was lots of speculation on whether or not that would be Devine Zigbo or Raquel Armstead, or I think even
James Robinson.
James Robinson is who it ended up being, but those early reports
Undrafted.
was not who that was going to be.
Right.
So that was my attempt to kind of get that lottery ticket, and it didn't work out. Um, and I eventually dropped him later. But some of these other things, I was disappointed Antonio Gandy Golden didn't work out because I read nice things about him, and he has a really cool name, so I was disappointed there. You'll notice that I dropped Antonio Brown at one point, and then later I picked him back up right before the news came back that he signed with Tampa Bay. So I drafted him, dropped him, and then got him back, and then traded him for a first-round pick. So that was glorious.
I didn't even see that. That's
I'm
awesome.
I know Anthony wants me
Chris,
to
we're
talk.
looking at you.
Mm.
Looking at you, Chris.
I know
Yeah,
Anthony wants
all
me
three of
to.
us are staring at you.
I know Anthony wants me to talk about Adam Troutman, but I refuse to acknowledge his existence. So I'm just gonna pretend that he wasn't on my team and that I'm not
Tyler, who
disappointed.
are these people? Are these other rookies?
These are just random guys that I'm just hoping to hit on.
People that
So
came off the street?
like none of these guys are still on my team except for Keelan Cole still on my team, and I'm liking he's got a little bit of value now in Jacksonville. Uh, and Kalen Balaj is just a roller coaster of a player. There's not much notable here. Keyshawn Vaughn is a great addition, and I can't speak more highly of what Keyshawn Vaughn means to my roster.
I mean, you started
And
him several times throughout the year, so
I sure did. I love Keyshawn Vaughn, and I still do. Got
Keyshawn Vaughn's going down the depth chart, by the way. Giovanni Bernard just signed with the Bucks, so your boy Keyshawn.
it's all right. He's going to beat him out in training camp. I have no
for
doubts.
for that
Yeah.
third running back spot on the Bucks.
That's about as good as Nucci Maine is about to be starting of the Cowboys.
I am a Keyshawn Vaughn defender to a fault, just like Tua. I will die on that hill. Um,
Adam
there's
Troutman, he should be a massive breakout. I'm surprised you don't regret that one. 6'5", 250 pounder. They don't, New Orleans doesn't have Cooks anymore. He's supposed to be a big target.
when you have as much talent as I do on my roster, you don't have
Okay,
space for some
okay.
of these fringe players, and I needed
Right,
to
right,
make some
right.
roster. I needed to make some roster space for Chase Daniel, and Adam Troutman needed to go, and I don't regret it, and I wish you well with him, but I don't think he's going to amount to anything.
Fair enough. All right, okay. With that, so before we go into your trades, because I do want to get into that in just a moment, there's a little segment I want to hop into called Trade Talk. So basically, what happened, Tyler? Just I know you're not knowing this. I sent out a simple, unbiased question to several of the league members. All I simply asked was, this was a text: how would you describe Tyler's trades? That was it. Nothing else. How would you describe Tyler's trades? And Jeremy, take it away. What were some of the responses that we got? What
Yeah.
are some of the feelings of our league mates?
Don't worry, Tyler. It won't exactly be a roast, of Tyler on trades. But we got actually a lot more variety in responses here than I thought. And all of these league members and owners will be anonymous. Maybe Tyler, you can figure out who some of these folks are. One of them said greedy. No, actually, they're pretty fair. I think he does pretty decent analysis. We got another interesting one where this person texted a link for the definition of the word selfish. And I will read. It's from a thesaurus, actually, so it's not really a definition, but the words that came up for the word selfish, and I will let our viewers and listeners decide if this describes Tyler: egotistical, greedy, narcissistic, self-centered, egocentric, egotistic, mean, mercenary.
I kind of feel like this is a compliment.
Yeah, right. I mean, it got kind of cooler there towards the end, but then he goes on to explain after
Merciless.
giving us a definition of selfish. He eventually gets to a reasonable, fair place, but he starts out a little crazy.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? That's fair. If you're not starting out a little bit crazy, what are you doing? You don't
You know what you do, Tyler? You don't listen to the crazy person. That's what you do. You don't listen to the crazy
Or
person.
you try to talk the crazy person down, and if the crazy person is willing to work with you, then you can go from there. But
The silver tongue. The silver tongue.
Oh gosh, crazy doesn't work on everyone. Why I never trade a first round pick for David Johnson, Anthony. Which I know everyone in the league got that trade from you. But anyway, this is about Tyler. What else? Another comment. His trades are relatively fair, or at least what he thinks. But he does try to stretch it, but not scammy.
I appreciate that.
So I guess that's just trading, right? Isn't that just called trading?
True.
Yeah. Tyler definitely has the patience of a 3-year-old when it comes to trades.
This is true.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. I guess I have an almost 3-year-old, so I guess.
I think
if you traded with your 3-year-old, what would it be like?
He wants those players and he wants them now.
Oh yeah. I think about it as I try to reason with Isaiah quite a bit, and when he's not unreasonable, he just Then he goes on timeout. So, all right.
Send Tyler to timeout.
And then that's when Tyler just sends the trades and I just decline. I don't even look at it. Let's see here. And then the last one, probably my favorite comment here from our one of our league members. I would say Tyler's trade offers are straight trash nearly every time. If you get a trade offer from Tyler, don't even open it. But his brilliant move of the season was picking AB back up and trading him for a first rounder.
You got to shoot your shot, boys. You got to shoot your shot.
Chris.
So Tyler, with those comments in mind, is there anything that you would like to address or say to our league mates, or overall commentary you'd like to put on that?
You know what? I'm just gonna double down even harder. You think these trades were bad? Just expect a tsunami of trade offers moving forward to the entire league.
Oh God.
And you know what?
Oh
You
my
don't
god.
trade Antonio Brown for a first rounder unless you're putting yourself out there and letting people mull it over. And I'm always gonna give other. I would hate to not give someone the gift of a trade offer from someone as wise and what were some of those thesaurus words out of your
I
selfish? So I'll take it to heart. I appreciate it, but I at the same time don't think I'm gonna treat anything differently. If anything, I feel like this is vindication, and God bless you for putting those together, but I don't think it's gonna change the way I think about it. I also heard a lot of for everyone that said that they were straight trash. I also heard a lot of he starts in an aggressive spot, but eventually comes down to earth and
that's what I
puts the
was
team
gonna
well
say.
together.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
majority,
yeah.
and I think I've successfully completed a trade with Johnny that I think Johnny would defend on this pod
I
right
will.
now.
I was
You
gonna say I will. And
so
yeah, I was gonna say right now, you went super aggressive. You said 2 first round picks and Calvin Ridley. I was like, calm the fuck down. I was like, let's do just 2 first round picks. How about that? And then you said that's okay. So as soon as we got to talking and we got to talking about what Dak was worth, it was it worked out really well. And the key was what both benefits our teams. And this is what Anthony and I talk about all the time. What benefits both of our teams.
mhm.
And you finally, I think, got that. And that was our first trade over the year. The entire year was that one.
And that's fine with me. And I made a couple of trades during the season, and it's good feedback. But like I said, uh, I appreciate it. I don't know if I'll change my mind on the way that I approach them.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next comment. If you're gonna change your strategy going into this year, because to be honest, the 8 trade you actually made 6. I think the first 2 is that you and I just kind of tested and playing around with. You traded LaShawn McCoy for some fab money, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna consider that one. But you actually don't have. I'm sure you sent nearly, got to be at least to myself twice as many trades
Mm-hmm.
than you actually made and pulled off. So you don't, you're gonna change that strategy a little bit, or keep going on strong.
I'm an active manager, as you can see in the free agency things or whatever. If there's a player that's available that I can go get, that's what I'm going to go try to do. And, that's. I don't know. I don't think there's a disadvantage to being active other than people think that you might be a little bit annoying, and that's okay with me because it's not going to offend me because I'm trying to win. And if someone really wanted me to stop, they could just text me and say stop, and I'd respect that. So, but.
Okay, I got a question for you now that we're on trades too. So you sent a poll out to the group, and you said, you got your 102. What do I do with it, guys? And sent some proposals of information or whatnot. And I was like, hey, this ain't the space to solicit, but you did it anyways.
Mhm.
But it wasn't a bad move. I see. I tried to pull myself your Antonio Brown. I was not successful. I did attempt it, so kudos on that. Your 102 though, I'm sure people really want to know, was that legitimate? One of those options was traded away. And if so, kind of like which kind of your threshold for kind of trading that way, or what are you looking for?
I
The
think
102.
every draft pick and every player on my team is available for the right price. Um, I think for the 102 specifically, you really just kind of have to logically think about like what is that pick worth? Like what is that pick going to be? That pick, and I don't think I'm not giving anything away. I think by saying that pick, assuming that Trevor Lawrence goes 1, which is like 95%, that pick is either going to be like one of probably 4 or 5 players, perhaps. It's going to be Najee Harris, it's going to be Jamar Chase, it's going to be Kyle Pitts. It's probably just those 3. You could possibly make an argument for like one of the quarterbacks, if a team really needed a quarterback in this situation. So, you know, those are kind of all of the different ranges for possibilities there. And if you think about what those are worth, I feel like those are all pretty, except for maybe the quarterbacks, which is a little bit of a lottery ticket. But this is a really strong draft, and all of those players are really really good. I would say that would probably be 2 first-round picks to get one of those, because you know what you're getting. It's a lot different than if you were, trading the 110. You don't know who that's going to be. That's going to be kind of a
Right. Yep.
second-tier receiver, running back, or something like that. So that's
Basically,
probably
aside from Trevor Lawrence, who do you want, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Would
And I
you
think different teams.
Would you trade Trevor Lawrence though?
Oh, everyone's available on Tyler's list.
Everyone's available on my
Ooh.
list, but
Everyone.
No. Trevor Lawrence, that's been a thing for him for a while. Would you trade that?
Here's the thing. I would trade it, but you'd really have to, knock my socks off on an offer there, because, as Johnny's mentioned, I've basically been joking around that I would have Trevor Lawrence well before I knew that I was even going to have that first pick. So I'm trying to sort of fulfill that meme and fulfill that destiny. But I'd be stupid if someone was going to offer me 3 first-round picks, or one of like a first-round player in like a startup draft or something, like a Dalvin Cook or a Patrick Mahomes, or one of those absolute studs or whatever. Of course, you got to consider something like that. You'd probably have to accept it, but I would cry when I did accept it, because I'd be so disappointed.
Right. All right. I want to wrap up transactions, because I know we got a lot to go over. I still got one of my favorite parts coming up. So let's get your season recap. Tyler, you ended last place in the league with a record of 2-10. I would say you can only go up from here, right? Nothing but improvement for next year. You got this. But before we get into your season, really, I wanted to play a game with you. I got a little mini game. It's called Tank or Blank. So basically, I'm gonna give you a random scenario, from a team. I want you to decipher, if this manager intentionally tanked that week, or they just blanked and had no idea what they were doing. So basically, I just want to hear you say, tank or blank. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. So scenario 1. In week 4, Cortland Sutton is designated as out because he had an ACL injury. And this happened from week 3, right? So going into week 4, he's out. This manager ends up playing him on his active roster that week. And for the other wide receiver options, they had DJ Chark, who scored 29 points that week, just so you know, and Justin Jefferson, who scored 14 points, who came off a 13-point game the week before. So Cortland Sutton, out for an ACL, good options. Tank or blank.
So here's the thing. This is a silly game. I'm going to just preface it with that, because obviously we're talking about my team here, and I appreciate that.
Whoa. Let's just go tank or blank. We got a couple more of these scenarios to run through.
The context is extremely important, because this was in I think this was in October.
Sounds like a tank, Anthony.
Or whenever it was. All right. There's such a thing as someone maybe forgetting to set their lineup, or not reading something.
Okay.
Or...
So I'm gonna take that as a blank. The blank. Completely missed. I got it.
It happens. Has anyone ever left someone in there? That was possible.
That happens. All right. Blank. Got it.
In a super serious dynasty league, I think we all check it before the game.
Mistakes happen. Look at the rest of the roster. Look at the rest of the roster. We're doing fine.
Okay. So again, scenario 2, and Tyler, this is not you. Completely random situation. This takes place in week 5. Just said it. This manager plays Kalen Balazs. I don't know who he is, but he suffered an injury in week 4. They declared him out again. In week 5, also Cole Kmet, tight end 2 behind Jimmy Grandpa, but he scored 2.7 points in the last 4 weeks. 2.7 points. So he plays, Cole Kmet. And last but not least, ran with Keyshawn Vaughn. I heard of him. He's okay. But it put him in the super flex position rather than Dak Prescott, who had not gotten injured yet. Tank or blank?
It's got to be blank. And here's the thing. Here's to me, I feel.
Deal.
Hold on. All right, you got to give me a fair shot here.
Here's the thing.
You got to give me a fair shot here. All right. First of all, I'm going to ask, is this America? All right? Because I thought we were in America here. To me, this is a free speech issue. Okay? And I'll be damned if someone besmirches the First Amendment in my fantasy football league. All right? That's what this is. This is a free speech issue, and I had high hopes for Keyshawn Vaughn. I read an article that was extremely flattering about
Cole
Keyshawn
Kmet,
Vaughn.
though, Tyler. Cole Kmet.
Okay, what were my
Full
options?
commit.
What were my other options? Did I have another tight end that could have done better? David Njoku, who I dropped later, scored 2.1 points, and Dawson Knox.
Damn,
I could
he
have
had it
went with
ready.
Irv
He had it
Smith.
ready to go.
Yeah,
Could have
your
went
boy
with
You had
Irv
Irv Smith.
Smith.
though. You did
You
have
know,
Irv Smith.
and Irv Smith did well. That was probably one of his better games of the whole season. I'm looking at it right now. So he scored 12.4 points. That particular one, he scored about 12
Okay,
points all
okay.
season.
Blank. All right, we're going with blank. One more. I got one more for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So far, sounds like scenario 1, scenario 2, both blanks. You know, shit happens. We all know that. We get busy in our lives. Let's see if this one sways your opinion. Again, completely random scenario. Takes place week 11. We're almost done with the regular season for fantasy, right? Managers have a pretty good sample size of results by this time. They can make solid decisions of what players to put in because we got the experience from the 10 games prior. So in week 11, this manager decides to play Matt Breida as one of his running backs. Just so you know, he finished 81st on the year.
Strong player.
DJ Dallas, who finished RB 73 on the year.
Promising
So
rookie.
Matt
First
Breida and
round
DJ
picks.
Dallas, first 2 starting running backs. And instead, so he starts them and benches Miles Sanders, the 22nd RB overall,
Disappointing
and
season for Miles
Jonathan
Sanders.
Taylor, the RB4.
Mhm.
RB4. Okay,
Your
that's
third
not
pick.
it. Wait. That's not it. That's not it. That's not, it's not. It keeps going. It gets better. For the wide receiver core, this manager started Van Jefferson, wide receiver 4 on the Rams.
Scored
James
7.7
Washington, wide receiver 4 for the Steelers. And, okay, Michael Pittman, not wide receiver 4, but a wide receiver 3 on the Colts. So Van Jefferson, James Washington, and Michael Pittman over Justin Jefferson, the hottest rookie wide receiver, shattering records by this point.
He's on your bench.
Charles, wide receiver 1 for the Jags, and Jerry Jeudy, because of injury, is now the wide receiver 1 for Denver. So, I mean, and I could keep going. I don't want to go into flex and super flex. I think just based off of this, come on, Tyler, what do you think? This has to be a tank, but could it be a blank? Could it? Could the manager
get out of the league? I would be
Week
kicked
11?
out of the league.
In week 11, we want to hear it, Tyler.
Hold on, I was on mute. Sorry, I had something really, really positive to say. I was just on mute here. You know, like I said, I think that if you read the things that I read, which were very flattering for all of those players. By the way, I'll point out, Michael Pittman had a fantastic game. I think he did better than Justin Jefferson here. Oh, it was really, really close. He did better than Jerry Jeudy. He did better than Jalen Reagor. He did better than T. Higgins. All of these options. I'd say I made the right decision.
Ever have sexual assault? Put Tyler to make them their lawyer.
Here's the other thing. I will defend you on the sense where the pick for specifically Jonathan Taylor over either Matt Breida or DJ Dallas, I can see how that looks a little bit suspect, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'll have to do a little bit of digging. I'll get back to you on this one, but I'll send you the article that I sent. That it's from this back alley guy. His name's Slippery Gary. And I get a lot of my fantasy football news from Slippery Gary, and he was predicting some super bad things for Jonathan Taylor, and to be honest, it spooked me. Hard.
Yeah, you might need to change
Gary
that.
on crack?
Yeah.
Slippery
I'm
Gary.
all about Slippery Garys, but
So
Tyler,
he sells his fantasy football news in out of a trench coat, and I read it, and some of his decisions work and some of them don't.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Slippery
I'll have
Gary?
you know that I won 2 games last season, and there were many games where you can see that I was just dialed in, and either bad luck or unfortunate circumstances. Those things come up.
Tanking Tyler.
Tanking Tyler. Ooh,
Tanking
I think
Tyler.
that's a new team name.
You know what? That's what we call you, Tyler. That's what we call you.
Dub T, baby. Dub T.
T squared. Dang.
Tanking Tyler.
Better.
Okay, Tyler.
TT.
Let me just apologize. I'm sorry. I was keeping a secret from you. These scenarios were not random. You were the team that did all these. I think everyone knows beyond a reasonable doubt that you tanked. But you know what? I'm going to give you credit because you got the 101. You did what you accomplished. and you're going to be set for the future. So,
Let
hats
me
off
tell
to
you. Let me
you.
tell you another reason why I didn't tank, and I stand by every single one of these roster decisions. First of
Oh,
all, we
no.
have a lottery
Oh,
system,
no.
as many people know. The
No,
difference between the sixth place team and the first place team is only around 10%. So you're really not incentivized that hard. Uh, and there's a certain trade-off in terms of respect factor, and there's no one that I care more about impressing than the group of gentlemen that are in this league right here. And I would never trade my integrity for an extra 10% in draft lottery odds.
I think you would.
Especially when I got last place and I had to pay for like the trophy
No,
case and that
no,
kind of
that
stuff as well.
doesn't matter. I got last place. You didn't care about that. I have Anthony
You
Scrotum
got you, you
banging
got the
me
true last
right in the
place.
head.
You got
Yeah.
the. You know what? Like I said, I'm gonna stand by Slippery Gary's picks here because he's steered me right before, and the season just didn't work out for me. But
Sorry,
I
I
appreciate
got
the heat.
super mad.
I appreciate
I
the heat.
apologize.
I'm glad to see the competitive fire, and I hope to have a more competitive season in the years to come. Just
That
watch
was the
out.
sound of a tank just running over
This won't be
everything
the
you
last
said.
you hear
All
from
right.
Slippery Gary.
All right. T squared going on. All right. So, upcoming rookie drafts. You have 3 first round picks, the 101,
Yeah.
the 102, and the 107. Indulge us for a little
God
bit.
damn.
Give us a little info. Who you plan? I mean, you don't have to tell us who you plan on taking, but kind of what are your thoughts on the rookie draft? And do you see yourself with those picks being a possible competitor this year, or are you just going straight to the tank again?
Wow. Wow. So I will say that I think, and I've put myself in these positions to get those extra picks. Obviously, Slippery Gary put me in the first overall pick there. His advice did not really work out in many cases, but it is what it is. That's how you get Trevor Lawrence there. However, the second pick I paid a heavy price for. I paid Dak Prescott, and then the seventh pick I traded Cortland Sutton, and so I've definitely paid for both of those resources for sure. I think overall it's a strong draft, and I think that there's a lot of different things that can happen. We've already seen multiple, obviously I moved into the second spot. Jeremy just very recently moved into the third spot, and it wouldn't surprise
That
me in
was
the next
absurd.
big trade. It wouldn't surprise me in the next couple of months, before we do our draft, the rookie draft, especially after the NFL draft, when some of the landing spots obviously become known and things sort of solidify. Wouldn't surprise me if I see some more movement going on with other
Yeah.
managers in the league. I think there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
think
teams. I think there's a lot of teams that are in like the bottom half of like the 8, 9, 10, 11 range that probably really, really need those quarterbacks. And Zach Wilson's not the only one that's crazy valuable. There's also Trey Lance if he goes to a really good offense, and Mac Jones. I think there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen there. So I think more movement's going to be happening. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about with the 3 picks that I have, well, I guess the 2 additional picks, 2 and 7, is it's hard to say who those picks are probably going to be because I think more movement's going to happen. And so it's just impossible for me to say right now because I think that context is what's going to inform that.
Hey, consult your boy Slippery Gary, and we're gonna have a great draft.
Slippery Gary has recommended Kyle Trask, quarterback of the Florida Gators. So there's some inside information for you, and
101, 101.
101. He strongly suggested that, but every once in a while you got to push back on Slippery Gary's advice. So I was it entered my mind. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, all right. So looking forward, who do you think is going to be a top contender this year, and who do you think is going to be, air quotes, not a tank?
Yeah. I think that I'm gonna win the league. I'm putting it down right here.
Are you serious?
Wow.
God.
I think my squad is
You know
strong.
what? You know what? That definition that we pulled up of selfish, narcissistic, and egotistical, self-centered.
I'm glad that Jeremy and I
You know
immediately
what,
had to unmute and just say, "Really?"
man?
Okay, looky here, my friends. We've got Kyler Murray, and we're gonna have probably Trevor Lawrence, right? So Kyler Murray is perhaps either the second or the third best quarterback, and he's super young. and then Trevor Lawrence should be already. I'm seeing projections for in the top 10 right now. So put that together, whatever. I should have among the strongest quarterback pairings in the league. There's potentially some better ones. If someone literally gives you Patrick Mahomes for free and you're able to pair him up with Russell Wilson, I can put you in a slightly better situation. But I'm at least in the top 3 and puts me in competition.
Fuck you.
Puts me in the competition. All right. Miles Sanders and Jonathan Taylor, I think, also would put me in the top 3 or 4 in the league for running back pairings. Jonathan Taylor's probably maybe the second or third most valuable running back, and Miles Sanders, a little bit underrated. Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, those are both super strong. We'll see what happens to DJ Chark. I've got some draft picks. Maybe that's Jamar Chase. Maybe that's Kyle Pitts. Who knows? Like there can be some upgrades that happen here in the starting lineup. And then I still have, I've got a little bit of promise here. I've still got Keelan Cole.
Really think it's yourself.
I play to win, as is very apparent, and
Oh,
I think
Two
I've
and
got
ten.
to.
For all
except
this
for the first year. Except for
good
the
and
first year.
I
green
think
on
I've
this
got a
one.
competitive
Yeah,
roster.
yeah. Obviously you don't.
And
Okay.
I'll see you all in the finals. That's what
Tyler,
I'm saying.
please run Keyshawn Vaughn against me every single time.
Let's put that under quotes under his team name. I'll see you in the finals next year.
I'll see you in the finals. You know what? You'll be begging me not to start Keyshawn Vaughn against you once he gets going.
I don't care.
I can't wait.
If I were to look besides myself, just really quick, and I know we're running up on time here. If I were to look besides myself, I think that I'm generally pretty impressed. I think with Jasper's team. Jasper always seems to put together a pretty good team. He came close last year. I think Stafford's going to be looking good. His running backs could use some help, but his receivers are super strong. He has good depth, and this was last year when Ezekiel Elliott had a really, really terrible year, so he'll slide him back in there. He should kind of, go back to the mean a little bit. And here's the thing about Jasper is I know you can always count on Jasper to make good active decisions throughout the season, so I'm never going to count out Jasper. And Sam, I think, also had a pretty good roster. Surprised, when we did the deep dive on Sam's team that he didn't do better than he did because he's looking pretty strong. I think some of the worst teams, to be honest. I think where did it go here? I think Chris's team is gonna strugust. I think if someone needs like a little bit of like kick in the pants to start paying attention, or just ramping things up a little bit effort wise, I think it's probably Chris. He's got some good individual players, but I think his activity level's low, and it is what it is. So I'm hoping to see better things from Chris. But I think the absolute worst team in the league is probably going to be Anthony's. To be honest, I think he overachieved all of last season. We've done the deep dive on his team. He doesn't draft well.
Yes.
He doesn't draft well, so I'm expecting a complete off on whenever he goes 5th. And 12th is going to be a little bit lower. And
Gary, is that you? Gary, is that you?
I'm just not impressed. Russell Wilson
Slippery Gary, second alter ego. Okay,
Russell Wilson,
I know who Gary is.
Team cancer, all right? Terrible person, and just spoiling the Seahawks from the inside out. Running backs, I mean, literally look at these. He has to have the worst running backs in the entire league.
Oh,
all right?
my God.
He overachieved with Allen Robinson. Deontay Johnson, I like him. He's on my other team. Tyreek Hill is good, I'm not going to lie. He's got some good tight ends that are a little bit older, and, you can't badmouth Patrick Mahomes. But here's the thing. The league is really, really competitive. When you have up-and-comers like Lawrence and Associates and Slippery Gary behind him giving him great information, you've got Jasper, you've got great teams like Johnny, who's loaded up with Dak Prescott, and Jeremy. I don't see how he can compete long term. So I wouldn't expect to see. It's going to be a little bit of a rough rookie draft for the 2022 class, and it's a little bit sad that Anthony's going to be getting the first pick next year when he misses the playoffs.
Bold statement. I like the hot take. I mean, that is the hottest take I have heard.
Yeah.
In any single episode, my friend. That is.
We need to have a side plot going on for this. I just want to
Yeah, let's put some money where your mouth is, Tyler.
There's got to be a side plot for this.
God.
Whew, that was bold.
Damn, Tyler.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know, Tyler, that it's a little bit of sideburn, with Anthony's and stuff. But the fact that you legitimately think that you're going to be in contention this year, that's Ooh, but I mean,
Oh damn!
but you
I
know
don't
what?
think you're
I
wrong.
will say this. I will say this though. I think kind of going back to you guys as our commissioners. Um, you guys have done a really good job with there being a lot of parity in the league. So I think there's a lot of people that think that they can do it. I think if people's rosters aren't
Mhm.
necessarily there, there's a lot of things that you could do, and just because of the different avenues we have to play fantasy in the league, you could definitely make it happen. So
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe you know what? That's fine. Tyler's entitled to his opinion there. But you know what? If things don't go well, you could just always tank again and come back stronger next year, right? Tanking Tyler.
I don't know about
Tank it,
again.
Tyler.
I don't
Tank
know
it,
about
Tyler.
again.
Tyler, I'm gonna put a bet out there right now that I finish with a better standing at the end of next year than you. Taking it. You on in that action?
Budgets are tight, and I've got a kid to raise and feed and all this good stuff, and so do
New
you. So
podcast
do you.
coming out.
I'd literally hate to be taking money out of your family's pocket. So not
Tanking
what
with
a friend
Tyler and
Wow.
wants.
Trevor. Tyler, that should be your new team name. Tanking with Trevor and Tyler.
Dang. Okay. Well, gents, is there anything else to wrap up this episode?
No,
I
nothing
don't
for
have too
me.
much else. I appreciate all of the effort to throw shade at me and attack me. I appreciate the competitive fire, and we'll be taking it out on you during the season. Don't be surprised to see Tyler at the top of the
Oh,
standings.
Jesus.
Tyler, you can't throw shade in a black hole. It's just there.
It's just
Yeah.
there.
It's just there.
Like this. I like this. I've always enjoyed this rivalry. It's great that you guys are both our commissioners. So I'd hope that you guys will
Nah.
run into each other in the
I
playoffs.
100%. I agree with Jeremy. And then yeah, the key is Jasper. Let's get Jasper in here. Let's do like a whole cool little um thing, and then see what we can do.
All right, so let's finish this episode. Have a good night. Thank you guys for joining us.
Later, everyone.
Thanks, guys.